Hey everyone, it's Anime Slushy. I'm Phoenix. Bit of a letdown end, really, to Madoka, wouldn't you say?
Shut the fuck up. It's me, Kyubey. You're full of shit.
No, it's just really flat, you know.
Yeah, nothing happened this episode. Jeez.
Yeah, didn't really feel any emotions, you know, no strong feelings.
Yeah, and like making it a beach episode was kind of like, why?
Imagine the Madoka Beach episode. Just in the middle of all this somewhere. Like,
I mean, it's a Magireco.
That's true, yeah.
Anyways, we don't have to worry about that. Chapter 12, my very best friend. Wink, 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 wink.
Very, very good friends.
Yes, you truly were my best friend. Wink, 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 wink.
That's what Homura was actually screaming about when at the end there when she was being pulled away. Was just, I just one kiss, please.
Just a little, just a little.
Fuck.
Anyways, we gotta get there. Sorry, Homura, I gotta become Maguka. I gotta do it.
Again, like what you were saying last week about how like the way she sort of takes her hand and says it's like it's okay, you've done enough, is like that. It's very much that comfort thing that you want when you're depressed, of just someone saying it's okay, you've done enough. And all of this in this scene is like that too, where she's just so gently saying, your efforts weren't wasted. You've worked to save me. That's why I've got this opportunity now. Won't you believe in me? And it's just, oh.
Yeah, it's kind of nice how it's almost flipped a bit in terms of now Homura is the very upset child and Madoka is like the adult in the room being like, no, I have all my shit together.
Yeah.
It turns out I was the one with my shit together all along.
It's gone back to the dynamic with the very start, in terms of like the start of episode 10.
Yeah.
Where she has to run off and die and leave her behind. But this time she got the answer.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So how do you feel about her specific wish, which is, of course, I want to erase all witches before they are born. I will erase every witch in every universe, past and future, with my own hands.
It's interesting.
The with my own hands part is the only part that I'm like, I don't know if she would specify that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really add anything to the wish, I suppose. I know there are people who are critical of the wish, but I feel like what people are usually critical of is like, there's this idea that like her ending is still like a sort of suffery ending where she doesn't get to exist anymore.
Nah, she's cool.
Yeah, she's cool with it on one hand, but also like she didn't wish specifically to become a god. That was just like a function of the wish in order for her to be a thing that could do this. She's not really human anymore.
Yeah, because Kyubey is like, do you want to become a god? And she's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of arbitrary because it's magic, but this is how it had to function in order for her to pull this off.
Yeah,
which didn't feel cheap to me or anything. Like it didn't feel like the point was to make us sad.
No, I feel like it makes more sense later on when she really stresses like she wants to ennoble their wishes and she doesn't want to undo their wishes. To me, I was like, it seems weird for her big wish to be around killing these monsters. Like that seems like a weird way to frame it. But it makes more sense in the context of like she wants to allow everything that those girls did and everything they wish for to still happen in the same way. That she just doesn't want them to become this monster at the end of their life, and that's really what she's trying to prevent.
Yeah, because like you say, it's about ennobling their wishes and repaying their hope by not letting them become something that undoes what they did.
Yeah.
So that's what it's actually about. It's not actually about killing wishes, and that's also why she wouldn't like wish for no entropy, I guess. Like she wants to make sure that the girls are still repaid, not that they never got to do any of what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, I think.
It works in with what she was told last time.
Yeah.
About the whole thing about running out of hope, because like this is something she can pull off because she won't lose hope.
Yeah.
I was going to say one little thing. I love that there's this a moment where she takes a breath before she wishes.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's good. She's like, okay, here I fucking go.
One thing I find interesting as well is Kyubey's reaction to the wish.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes it clear that he does not have any control over whether the wish happens or not. Or doesn't even know what will happen if someone wishes for something.
Yeah, he's just like a middleman somehow.
Yeah, like because the way it's phrased, he's saying, you know, if this works, this could happen. If this works, like he doesn't know if it's going to work. Because if it does work and he understands what would happen, you would think he would just say no if he had any control over this. Because it doesn't, as he sort of points out at the end of the episode, this is going to leave them with a less efficient way to collect energy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, yeah, he really doesn't seem to have full control over this.
He's just sort of there to facilitate it.
There's a conversation in the mommy zone.
The fucking mommy zone. Like, it gets very Evangelion very quick, eh?
Yeah, this is such an anime thing where it's just like, what is happening here? Don't worry about it. It's a metaphor or something.
Yeah, because this didn't happen.
Yeah.
This couldn't have happened in space. This is just like, well, what if they did have this conversation? It would go a little something like this. Like, it's, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great.
It is very cute.
The fucking part where Madoka says, if someone says it's wrong to have hope, I'll tell them they're wrong every time. I could say that to them forever or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah. When she says that, I'm like, you can't say that this show is just dark and has a sad ending and stuff when you put that in your show unironically. Come on.
Yeah. This last episode is nothing but sincere.
Yeah.
To the point of being almost absurd.
Yeah, because like the way that fucking mommy hands her notebook back, or her notebook full of her like childish, hopeful wishes and stuff, and she's like, "Here, this is yours again. You've reclaimed this."
Yeah,
it's good.
That was the thing she gave up when mommy died, and it's like, no, you get it back now because you fixed it. You found a way to fix it. You found a way to make this a normal magical girl show.
Yeah. The dream is not dead. You thought it was, but it's back.
Yeah.
And Kyoko just shows up to be like, "Yeah, girl, do it."
Yeah. I love the way Kyoko eats cake as well. She has to eat everything by hand, whole, shoving it into her face.
Yeah, and she has to make like a humph. Nerd.
But yeah, then we get the transformation. She pulls out her bow.
The bow animation is so fucking beautiful. This is the first time I started tearing up when I was watching this to take notes, because that super pretty Yuki Kajira music starts playing and the bow is so pretty, and she shoots it at the sky and the sky opens up and it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, this is the track. It's called Perjo Pugnare.
It's unfair.
It is everything about this whole section is just so pretty.
Yeah,
the music is beautiful.
You gotta stop playing it. I'll cry. This is bullying.
Because she put like the bow forms really slowly, and there's that beautiful wider shot of like all that magic sort of pouring off her as she takes aim.
Yes, and the way that the bow like unfurls and like the rose blossoms on it.
And you get the big rune forming in the sky, and the music's going, and it's very nice.
It's good as fuck. And then you see that little girl with the green girl finally appears. It's a green one.
Finally a green girl.
Yeah, and Madoka appears to her all godlike and with that like super gentle expression, like it's all gonna be okay. And the girl's like, "Thank you for mercy killing me," and it's beautiful.
Because that's the thing, they still have to die. Like they don't get to just go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's beautiful and it's emotional and it's hopeful, but it is also technically Madoka mercy killing girls throughout all time and space.
Because she can't. The whole thing of like you make a wish and you give up your soul. You can't undo that part. All that energy and all that miracle still has to come from somewhere. There still has to be a sacrifice. It's just that you don't then go on and like kill your parents or whatever.
Yeah, and she wants them to still have done everything that they wished for because it was so important to them.
Yeah.
It's good.
You say it's good, but this montage gets bad.
Yeah, so we have that girl, and we have some other good girls, like there's that like future teddy bear girl. There's a girl who's almost black. I mean, she's supposed to be black. I was looking at the episode revisions, and it's funny because they made her slightly darker for the Blu-ray, but it's still like, come on, you fucking cowards, make her black. She's on the savannah. She's clearly supposed to be black, but they're like, we don't know how to color black people. It's scary.
Jesus.
Dumb. But then, the only one I have a huge problem with is that there's some girl who's clearly in like a Jewish, she has like the Jewish star. It's some kind of Holocaust shit. Some people think that she's Anne Frank specifically, and I don't know if
she's on a train.
She's going to a concentration camp.
Yes, it's a very specific image of Jewish people being transported to a concentration camp in cargo trains. And it's,
Yeah, I don't know if that was on Gen. I don't know if that was just on one of the animators or the director or what, but whoever thought that was nice and pretty to do, no, you don't get to touch that.
No, don't.
It's too fucking specific.
Yeah, don't bring that into this magical girl show. Nah, don't do that.
Japan, you need to learn this lesson. I know about BNA. You still haven't learned this lesson. Stop with the fucking Holocaust isn't fun for your anime.
It's just not something to put into your anime about magical girls or furries. It's not. This is not the place to discuss what happened there. Like,
But yeah,
Stop
like most of
doing
the other
that.
ones, like even the Muslim looking girl, I'm like, I guess that's fair enough. You know, like it could be any kind of like time in the last 50 years, and it's a little vague, and the idea that someone in that situation would be a magical girl isn't too crazy to me. It's just the specific going to a concentration camp that I can't.
Yeah. I mean, even the Muslim one, it's like,
It's still like, I think it'd be better to not.
yeah, I think it'd just be better not to touch these things, to be
Yeah.
honest. Don't like drawing very real world analogies it elevates it to a level of seriousness that the rest of the show doesn't maintain, which, yeah, just don't do it. You just don't have to do it. Like, it's easy.
Yeah, it's like I can see why someone would think it's like, no, see, it's beautiful because it's about these girls who've suffered. It's been real, but they have hope now. And it's like, no, just don't.
Yeah.
You can have your Cleopatra, you know, you can have your Himiko, or I always forget the name of that person, but
Yeah, you can have Joan of Arc. That's far enough back, but like, not if a Syrian girl actually wrote a fanfic about a Syrian girl being a magical girl, that's something different. Again, you're not a Syrian girl. Don't do that.
Yeah. And again, it's like, I have no idea who did that. It could have been Gen. It could have been just like, you know, maybe in the script it was just like, show various girls in sad situations.
Starting to wonder if Gen wrote anything.
I don't know, because like so much about, we'll have to talk about it with the very end. He was like, I don't know what those big black wings are. I don't know. Inu Curry just did that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Fucking Inu Curry. That was the beginning. That was the beginning of Inu Curry going nuts and just...
Yeah, just doing fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's been some discussion over whether the Faust parallels are just Inu Curry's idea or whether Gen intended them. Because technically all the like really explicit stuff to it is in like the witches stuff. So it's like, I don't know. Collaborative fiction. It's weird sometimes.
It really is. We see Walpurgis fall to pieces.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I did note that, like, obviously we do see all the different girls surrounding her as she falls apart. But even pre that, you see several soul gems fall off her.
Oh, I didn't see the soul gems fall out.
Yeah, like when she first starts to come apart and we're sort of like trailing.
Wait, soul gems or grief
her.
seeds?
Soul gems.
Oh, I guess, yeah, because they can never become grief seeds now.
Yeah, it's weird. But you see these, you just see like a couple of soul gems sort of attached to her dress as the dress falls apart, just sort of flying past camera.
Oh, crap.
An interesting touch.
So confirmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I do like how it's a completely different dynamic now with, you know, Walpurgis is still doing her thing, floating around, cackling maniacally, but like Madoka has just completely overpowered her with her BDE and is like, it's okay, you small dumb child, I shall comfort you.
Yeah, I'm going to go back before you ever had to curse everyone like this.
Yeah, don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
The laughing does pick up, which I thought was interesting. Like right before she goes, she's like shrieking really maniacally, and then she's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Homura's in space now.
Yeah, Homura's on the moon.
Yeah, and Kyubey's just like, oh, I guess you did have time powers or whatever. Sup, sup, girl.
It is sort of a bit of a hand wave as to look. We want Homura to be here for this.
Yeah.
I don't get how time powers mean she gets to go to the moon, but
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then you get Big Gretchen, who I like. I like the big, scratchy Gretchen being like, "Bah."
It's cool. It feels very powerful. Like it feels like, yeah, this is what it would look like if you took every single curse.
Yeah.
It would just be this giant amorphous sort of crazy scratchy creature.
You know, the fucking moon in its eye or whatever.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting how, like, because at first you think, oh shit, this actually worked out even worse for Madoka. And where Kyubey's explaining, well, she created an entire new universe with her hope. So obviously she would end it with the despair. That's the balance of things. That's how the balance works. Balance. And then that's not what happens. Like, so I guess the balance is bullshit.
No, I mean, like, I think it's just their different interpretations of what it means to balance out. Like, Kyubey thinks that, like, by the end, the balance will be only despair is left. But Madoka is like, no, I made a wish and we will end each other, but it's fine. And I'm going to be here to do it. I'm Madokami, pew pew.
Her transformation reminded me a lot of whenever you see Serena in Sailor Moon.
You called her Serena.
Isn't she Princess Serena?
Serenity.
Sorry, Princess Serenity.
Serena was the dub name for the 90s Sailor Moon dub. Yeah, but yeah, that like big white dress aesthetic, that always makes me think of Sailor Moon, whether it's supposed to or not.
Yeah, because like with the way the dress sort of unfurls and the hair's longer and everything, it was kind of like, and she's in space. So it's kind of like, this does feel a lot like that.
Yeah, it does have some vibes of that. And I love the design, except for that it technically has a boob window, which in the show doesn't look bad.
In the show, you barely see it. It's really hard to see. In the fucking game, the boob window is so bad.
Yeah, because it's like this area where like it does make sense in the show that you can't really see cleavage there because she's like a kid and it's just like this random thing and it still looks vaguely classy, like a classy evening dress thing or whatever. But then, yeah, it's like if you're a horny artist, you can totally be like, now I can draw the parentheses boobs in there. and everyone will love it.
It's so awful to look at in the game.
Yeah.
Especially in the live 2D. It's anyway.
Yeah,
anyway.
but still, she's fucking badass. And when she's like, you know, like, and then I'll have no reason to despair. And she shoots the big arrow, and it's great.
I do think the balance thing is interesting. I guess, like you say, yeah, in the end, the balance means that it's nullified. I feel like if what Kyubey was saying made sense, the beginning and end would need to make sense too. Like, you make something, you destroy something, but in the end, she gets to make it, and then the bad half of it is just sort of erased.
Look, she just fucking gamed the system.
Yeah, well, she erased it with her own power, I guess.
She destroyed Kyubey with facts and logic. I don't know. I think it works.
Yeah, oh no, yeah, I think it works too. It's just sort of, I think it's part of like, I was wondering if maybe the point was to say that Kyubey doesn't understand the universe as well as he thinks he does.
Yeah, I think so, because like he's like, obviously this is what happened the moment before she's like, actually, fuck you.
yeah. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to say, well, no, fuck you, because like you're not going to get to exist anymore, blah, blah, blah. Here to deliver bad news.
Yeah, and now it's time for naked space girls.
Yeah.
I complained about it in some other episode when I talked about it, but the best version of the scene is the original TV airing where they're covered in space effects, and it's way better. The Blu-ray is the worst version where they're just fucking naked, and it's gross, and I don't like it. And obviously there's no details, and it's supposed to be like, oh, it's because it's a soul realm. No, it's still gross looking, too much. Take it away.
Yeah, there's no reason why in the soul realm they need to have fucking bodies. Like in the TV version, it's just like, you see their heads essentially, and the rest of them is just indistinct space effects. And it's like, well, that makes sense. They're not really here. They're an idea right now or something. But yeah,
and then they clearly realized it was too much because then in the movies they gave them those fucking stupid magazine clip out art dresses over everything. so I think they realized that it's like we went a bit too hard on the naked.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just too much for a movie theater. Who knows?
Potentially, yeah.
They just give them the space bodies back. The space bodies were best.
Like what Sailor Moon gets. Like what Sailor Moon gets in the transformations.
Yeah. It felt like that.
Yeah. It's an outline that's covered in like this effect and you don't see anything. There's no detail. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, fuck that. But Madoka finally understands everything. She got to see through all time and space. She understands everything that Homura did for her. You really were my very best friend. Wink, 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 wink.
Again, with like Kyubey saying, no one will ever remember you. And then Madoka going, Homura probably will. It's fine.
Yeah. Hey, hopes and dreams. Fuck you, Kyubey. It's the best.
I was thinking about how, like, you know, a big part of Homura's despair and the thing that almost makes her turn is that, like, she doesn't feel appreciated because she can't. She knows she can't. She's not blaming anyone for it, but she knows that she will never be appreciated because Madoka can never know how much she's suffered to try and save her.
Yeah.
And this is like the catharsis for that, is in the end something happens so that Madoka does know. And I was almost wondering, like, is this like a scene Madoka would have had with several other girls? Where this is like the thing that stops Homura from witching out?
Well, she does. It is kind of, you know, like she has that scene where she takes Sayaka with her. And that's very much like, I'm at peace now. It's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, does she have all these cute little like, are you ready to go to Madoka heaven now with every magical girl through time and space?
Yeah.
It's cute.
It is, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a really interesting interview where basically you can tell that the interviewer is trying to ask Urobuchi if it's gay, but like because of like Japanese culture and politeness and whatnot, they're talking around it in the weirdest fucking way. They're like, so these girls, you know, because they're not a man and a woman, they can't make a child, but they still, it seems like that they might have a It's really funny to read. Like like it's so you just want to ask if they gay.
Yeah. But they just can't. Oh, jeez, that's sad.
Yeah, and it's like so much more embarrassing of a conversation because they can't just say it. And it's interesting that Gen's response was just like, I don't think there's anything particularly special about the love between a man and a woman compared to other kinds of love. And I was like, I guess you could take that as like maybe it's not gay, but I think it's also like, yeah. Or especially as an ace person, I'm like, yeah, like he doesn't give a fuck. It's like obviously they love each other. I don't care exactly what like you want to define that as.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that sounds like he's trying to say all love is valid. They clearly love each other very much. If they want to kiss, they probably could.
Yeah,
like, that's what that sounds like to me. Like,
yeah, it's like whether they want to do a fuck if they were older or whatever. It's like I'm not really interested. What's important is that they love each other.
Yeah.
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 And then Madoka fucking rips off Nanoha. She gives her ribbons, and I'm on to you, Arabuchi. Now I know.
It's a nice moment. It is
cute.
And it's like Nanoha didn't give fucking Fate a ribbon across time and space.
Oh,
it's got that on him.
Yeah, but also it's funny because so Madoka gives her both ribbons, but then it seems like Homura is only wearing one of them, or is like one tied around the other one. I don't.
Yeah, not sure. Unless like that was always one ribbon, and Madoka just had it done up in a way that was it was like running under her hair or something.
Totally two ribbons.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm just gonna assume that Homura wrapped one around her head and then made the bow with the other. It's funny because in the manga I've seen she actually starts wearing her hair in pigtails, which I don't like quite as much because I don't like the pigtail look as much, but it does solve that particular quandary.
I did want to ask, that scene with Sayaka, I wasn't quite sure what they were saying occurred there, because there's a little conversation that they have at the start of the scene where they're watching Kyosuke play at like what looks like a sort of exam or something. Sayaka's apologizing for causing Madoka trouble, and Madoka apologizes and says like, I undid it so that it was like none of this ever happened, but I didn't think you'd be happy with that. So I arranged something so this would still happen?
No, yeah, she's saying it's part of the whole nature of choosing not to undo magical girls as a system altogether, because if Sayaka had never been able to become a magical girl and make her wish, Kyosuke never could have been healed and become able to play the violin again. So yeah, she's saying like, I'm sorry that like, but you know, like because all this happened, you still are going to end up dying the way that you did. And Sayaka's like, that's fine. And you know, Madoka, she wanted to give her the chance to do that because she didn't think it was pointless. And Sayaka's like, yeah, I'm still glad I was able to do that for him, and it's good. I like it.
Yeah, even though it's still a bit bittersweet.
Yeah,
because like even at the end, Sayaka's still sad that she doesn't get to be with Kyosuke as well. So
yeah,
which was that's like that sums up the whole tone of this episode in general, is that like you still did a good thing, but you don't get everything you wished for. Like it isn't just a perfect happy ending where everything you want to happen happens.
Yeah, but you still did good. And I like right before that when Madoka's about to say goodbye to Homura in the space zone, she's just like, you know, I think somehow maybe you will remember me because after all, magical girls make hopes and dreams come true. And it's just like, yeah, reconstructed. And then she fucking does remember her because magic is real.
Yeah, and because I think even a little miracle could still happen if you wish hard enough, if you want it hard enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man.
What a dark show that's only here to make girls suffer and be horrible.
I love watching girls suffer, so this show is great. They're all sad all the time and stupid.
I watch her say that hopes and dreams are true, and I'm like, you dumb fucking bitch, go be in space and die. I like Madoka.
So we go back to the world as it is now. And no matter which universe we're in, Kyoko is still gay for that Sayaka.
And we were just becoming friends. That's my Kyoko voice, apparently. I'm Kyoko.
Why did she have to do that just for a boy she liked?
Why couldn't she just like me? Why couldn't she just give me a little... And I like that mommy in this universe is like the one who gets to be the cool big sister character again, who explains things to her kohais. It's
interesting because I guess Kyubey just tells them this now. Like that's how she knows or something.
I do think that the Kyubey in this universe would be more open with girls in general.
Yeah, like because she says explicitly, you should have known this from the moment you became a magical girl, as in Like, unless you just weren't paying attention.
I don't think she had that tone of it. I think she was just like, we all know how it is. Let me explain for the viewer.
Oh, yeah. But like, I don't think she was telling Kyoko off, but just like, you knew how this would end. You would have known this from the start, which is what makes you think that Kyubey just tells them.
Yeah, it might be the kind of thing where like, he doesn't feel like he needs to hide it as much as the girls becoming witches. And like, maybe other girls also know about it and tend to tell each other. So he's like, oh, fine, I can just tell him this up front now. And he has to have a more like ongoing working relationship with them in general.
Yeah.
With the way that this universe is set up. So it's in his best interest to not have the girls just like fucking hate him and refuse to work with him.
Yeah. He has to be a nice guy.
Yeah, and suddenly Homura has a ribbon. Whoa.
Yeah, I guess like, where do the other girls think she got that from? You just found that in the maze?
Yeah, like I wonder if she just like stuck it in her hammer space immediately. Like, don't worry about it. It's nothing. No. Why'd you say Madoka? What were you saying Madoka about? I didn't say anything.
That is sad. It's
Yeah.
Especially because like the thing that Mummy is describing is Madoka. Like she's describing it as if it's like a law of physics, but it's like, no, that's someone did that. Someone sacrificed everything so that happens, so you don't suffer.
Yeah, I wonder if
like,
Madoka ends up giving her ribbon and she ends up remembering at that moment just because like that was the first time that she as a magical girl was in the vicinity of another magical girl dying. So like in a way she saw Madoka in that moment.
Yeah, I always wondered about the logistics of how this would work for Homura. Is she just dropped into a universe that started existing this way from this moment with an assumed backstory?
Yeah, that kind of comes up in the Wraith arc, and I need to finish reading that and talk about it on the podcast because...
Yeah, I need to read that too.
Yeah, like the idea of what it does this Homura before she remembers Madoka, like what did she wish for? What is her backstory? Does she know?
Yeah.
That's a whole like, I wonder.
But it's sort of true of every Homura in every timeline after the first, is because she's always a magical girl who exists without a wish, in a sense.
Yeah, or Kyubey is just like, I don't know what her wish was.
Yeah, because he didn't grant it, but even though he should know, and I really should be more curious about that. But but like that like in every other timeline, she's a girl who never made a wish. Like she doesn't have a wish technically in her past.
Yeah.
So but this is all time travel stuff that you could think about for days, which is fun.
Yeah, but it's like we do know that this Homura somehow became a magical girl and was like hanging out with Mommy and Kyoko, and they know who she is and have a working relationship with her. And yeah, you do wonder like, how did that go down?
Yeah. I think it's also interesting the idea that magical girls in this universe would be less competitive.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you? Presumably you still need to compete for the little wraith gems to purify your soul gem.
That's true, but you know what? They're easier to share because they're broken up like that.
That's true, yeah.
Hey.
It's like a packet of Smarties instead of
one giant Smartie that you just shove in your mouth and then you immediately regret it. It's time for baby boy. Little baby boy, Madoka.
God, he's so cute.
He's a baby.
He's so cute. This is something I was thinking about. So many shows attempt to do cute kids and fuck it up. They make the kids too saccharine. You know, they're sort of over the top, sort of ooh. This baby is legitimately like charming the entire time and very cute. And that's something to be lauded because it's hard to do apparently.
Yeah, but he's just excited.
Yeah, he's excited all the time.
He's having a good time being a babe.
Yeah, he is. But like from a writing perspective, why is that so hard to do? Like, think about all the fucking ooh baby nonsense you see in other anime.
Yeah.
And they just like drive you fucking nuts. Whereas this kid is he's so charming. He's so cute and charming.
Yeah.
Madoka. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that Homura comes over to him and she's just so like finally at peace, which is really nice to see because obviously most of this episode she spent just being like, no.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because Madoka is like, it's all good. I am heavenly now. And Homura's like, no.
Yeah, like right to the end of that, the last time we see Madoka, Homura's still screaming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you assume some time has passed and she's come to terms with it.
Yeah, and now she's just like, yeah, that like very gentle smile of like, Madoka, right? Yeah, and it's like, yeah.
It doesn't even make it that sad that the family sort of remembers, which you would think if it had happened just afterwards, that would make her really sad.
Yeah, but she's just like, oh, isn't that nice? They do remember her in a way.
Yeah, even though it's still sad because they don't, like the mother never got the daughter she loved.
Yeah.
And the little brother never got the big sister he loved. And yeah, Dad We don't know if Dad remembers or not, but
Yeah, whatever. He seems nice, but this isn't about him.
I mean, but again with the kid, just like when you're seeing them in the distance and the kid's going, "Here I come,"
It's so cute.
and the dad's like, "Okay, I'm ready," and he just runs like 2 steps, and the dad's like, "Yeah," and it's so cute.
Why is that so fucking cute? Yeah, just like he has to announce that he's gonna do it, and what he's gonna do is he's gonna just come on over. He's a baby. What's cute is that in an interview, apparently Gen was like, "Oh yeah, he can actually see Madoka because of how like children believe in things, and so Madoka is real to him, and he'll forget her eventually, like a imaginary friend." And I'm like, "Oh, that's such a cute like kitty magical idea. That's adorable."
It's horrible, but it's also lovely, the idea that kids are connected to magic on some level.
Yeah, like that's a very like Precure kind of idea. That's super cute.
Yeah, but also like that's almost a nice thing for Madoka because it means she gets to spend some time with her brother. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh. Now, the last scene.
I fucking love this. Fuck you, Rebellion, for ruining this reality for me.
Yeah, it both sets up and doesn't set up Rebellion, or explicitly unsets it up.
Yeah.
Because like on the one hand, he's saying, like this is one of the things about Rebellion that like I know people have issue with the way Kyubey's portrayed in Rebellion sometimes, but I don't have any issue with the idea that if Kyubey found out about this other method of doing things, that his race wouldn't at least investigated it.
I guess.
That seems like a perfectly mercenary thing that he would do. That's perfectly in line with the way his character behaves.
Okay, but like in the original Madoka, so Homura is this girl that he doesn't know why the fuck she exists, and he just seems to be like kind of passively interested in why that is, and maybe sometimes he looks out on her. He didn't create some crazy vortex time a pocket dimension to figure out what the fuck she was. He wasn't that interested.
Yeah, but he also like only had a month. And I guess the upside on what is going on with Homura is like not as potentially huge as the upside on this if it was real.
That's true.
I'm not saying that like it's definitely something he would have done. I'm just saying it's plausible to me.
Yeah, that's the problem with the whole movie. Like it all kind of makes sense. It all almost makes sense. It just doesn't quite come together in a way that feels organic.
Oh yeah. No, the problem with Rebellion is execution.
Yeah. But anyways, for now, we have this fucking awesome reality.
I was going to say, at the same time, though, while he's saying this will be really interesting, he explicitly says, we have no method to test this.
Hey, this is what happens when you write a show to be a finished story like a dumbass.
It wasn't dumb. This was the right thing to do. The show should have stopped here. This was where it should have...
It did stop here.
It did, yeah.
This story ended here. God, just the relationship between Homura, who's just like, yeah, we really didn't like you, but like fucking whatever, and Kyubey just being like, oh, that's weird. I think you're crazy, huh? But okay, whatever. And then he like hops on her shoulder, and the way that she like throws the gems at him and like leaves her hands up in a kind of funny pose. Like now she's just like a cute kudere girl, and she's able to live this like less horrible, stressful life.
And also, like, he's back to doing the sort of cute mascot things, like when he's saying, I don't get how this works, and his tail turns into a question mark. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and the way he like is like dodging around, catching all the little gems, and it's just like, oh god, I love this relationship between them. It's so good.
Yeah, making cute cartoon noises. But yeah, I like to imagine that their relationship would be unique because to most other magical girls, he's not an antagonist. But it's only because Homura can remember this other universe.
Yeah, and it's interesting that like they're hanging out now. Like I almost feel like now she feels a little disconnected from the other girls, and she feels like she can hang around Kyubey though, and he's probably like, I don't know, she's kind of interesting and weird.
Yeah. I mean, Kyubey's fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all part of her coming to terms. I mean, she's a pragmatist. That's part of her character.
Yeah.
She does need him to be around. Her last bit is still sort of it's still a bit edgelord. I don't know how seriously to take it, much like with a lot of her edgy stuff.
Oh, and she's like, this world is still unsavable or whatever.
Yeah. Like, because every other girl is doing it because they want to save someone, because they want to help people. And she's just going, no, the world sucks. Ugh. She's fucking, what's his name from Watchmen?
Oh, Rorschach.
Yeah. They'll look up and say, save me. And I'll say, no.
And I'll say, okay, but only because Madoka wanted me to.
Yeah. Like that's the only reason she's doing it is because Madoka loved the world and wanted to save it. And it's like, I don't know if I believe that's what Homura actually feels.
Yeah, if I was a script editor, I would be like, could you change like just a couple of these lines to be a little less edgelord? Thank you. But then she has the bow and it's rad.
Yeah, it is rad. The landing with the big wings.
Yeah. Epic. And then the way that they all like grow up from the ground super fast and then she's like, I'm gonna kick your ass. It's interesting because in the very original concept art or like the first character pinups that they showed from Ume Aoki, Homura had a bow. And so for the longest time in the show, you're like, oh, well, I guess that was just like an early idea of what she would use. And then they didn't use that. But then at the very end of the show, she does have a bow and it's like, whoa, full circle.
Yeah, she has the bow because she got it from someone.
Yeah. And then the OP plays again, and it's like it's kind of been recontextualized once again from the way that it was at the end of episode 10.
We get that last little scene, which I guess there's no real way to interpret what's happening there if Gen doesn't know what was going on.
Apparently, it's partly a homage to Blade. But I don't know. I'm not very familiar with Blade or what scene he would have been thinking of.
Yeah, while he was writing this show, he was thinking of Wesley Snipes, I'm sure.
Well, it's funny because, like, Mommy is kind of, like, Equilibrium. It's like, does he just like that kind of, like, goofy... I could see him liking that kind of movie.
Yeah, I suppose. I could definitely see him being into high-concept stuff that didn't quite work, just because it was high concept. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's something this other critic I quite like has written about, and I tend to agree with. If you watch a lot of movies, the movies you start to get really bored and frustrated with are the ones that do absolutely nothing new. And even if it's like really well executed, if it's just the same thing again, that's worse than a film which has like poor, perhaps terrible execution, but had an interesting idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like that's way more interesting at a certain point. Transcendence, that the Johnny Depp gets uploaded to a computer movie. Not a great movie, but like it had some interesting ideas and thoughts on what makes you human and what the idea of a singularity would be like. And it's like, I appreciate that Wally Pfister gave it a crack.
No, yeah, it's like, oh, you left me with something at all to think about, unlike a lot of, like Marvel movies or whatever, where it's like, that was fun, but I'm going to immediately be done thinking about it afterwards.
That's my biggest knock on most of the Marvel films.
Yeah.
It just became the same thing over and over again. I was okay.
So the fucking text on screen, I'm like, oh, now I understand why people are Christian. I see. Because it's like, don't forget, always somewhere someone is fighting for you. As long as you remember her, you are not alone. And it's like, oh, that is a really nice thought.
Yeah.
Oh, it is kind of comforting.
If you're thinking of God and Jesus.
Yeah.
You can think of Madoka if you want.
You know what? I'm gonna. Because, like, she only did the nice stuff. She's only there to help. And she's unproblematic faith. And thank you, Madoka.
She never kicked a fig tree to death because it wouldn't blossom.
No, he yelled it to death.
Oh, okay.
He screm big and then it died.
A friend of mine who's ex-Catholic was talking about the idea of Jesus as the unproblematic fave and why that's kind of flawed. And saying like, he described it in a really nice way where he said like, Jesus was clearly like a very nice man, but you wouldn't call him non-judgmental.
No.
He had opinions.
He had some hot takes. He had his follower count and he used it.
He knew how to do events. Anyway.
But then he got canceled, like super hard by Roman cancel culture. Hot Bible jokes. Anyways, but yeah, so it's like, I think in Gen's script, it was just like, Homura's fighting. We don't know where or when, but she's continued to fight, continued to become more powerful. And she hears Madoka's voice, and she's like, yeah. But then the way that the Inu Curry designed it is that she gets these big, like, crazy witch dimension wings, and it's like, who knows what that is?
Well, yeah, the first thing I thought was that, like, the witch wings resembled Gretchen at the end so much that I thought, like, oh, is this the moment that Homura dies? Is that the end?
That does end up feeling like, because when you see her out in the real world in Rebellion, when you see her body, it does seem like she's in a kind of like deserty place.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of ran with that. Because I remember in an interview that I was reading, he said, like, maybe this will be explained in the movie, which of course translates to maybe I'll figure out how the fuck that makes sense later.
Yeah, I can use it as a jumping off point or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like ignoring the visuals, it does just sort of seem like, yeah, Homura's fighting. She hears Madoka say ganbate and just smiles. And it's like, yeah, she's still there.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, she's still somewhere out there fighting really hard, being super powerful. And it does that like fucking end reel effect thing that's so good because it's the 5 girls and then it's so many girls. And some of them you can even tell look a bit like the witches. And it's like, yeah, they didn't even have to become witches now. They're just magical girls. It's all good and show mwah.
The last little thing that gets added to screen is Madoka's soul gem, and that's the end. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty and it's good.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the end of the good show.
Yeah, that's the end of this story.
That's where it stops. As a self-contained thing, Madoka's very good.
Then we can talk about Madoka Future.
Yeah.
Madoka Universe Future.
Speaking of which, I don't know if you heard this or not. Magireko's season 2 has been confirmed.
Oh yeah, I mean we knew it was going to happen at some point. Did they say when it's premiering?
No, just that they've started work on it.
That'd be super fucking weird if they never made a season 2.
I mean, would it? It's not like Madoka's got like a great track record as a franchise of following through.
I don't know. It just seems so like those gotcha horny boys are so loaded and willing to spend so much. You assume that it's kind of a surefire thing.
Yeah, I suppose. But like, well, we both finished the first arc in the story now. And like, oh man, that sucked.
It's not.
That really sucked.
It's not a good game. I finally uninstalled it because we got to our 3rd summer event and I was like, you know what? I don't need to do this.
Don't need to do this to myself.
I can do other things with my time.
Like play other gachas.
Yeah, like play other horny, edgy gotcha girl games. Oh no.
Yeah. But look, the writing in that game in the main story was never particularly good, but it got worse. And in one of the little sort of like postscript epilogue events, where like what we were just saying about how Madoka doesn't get like a perfect, happy, ridiculous, everything works out ending. That's kind of what happens in Magireko.
Yeah.
You get a sort of perfect, ridiculous, everything works out. No one has to feel bad about anything ending in a way that like you really shouldn't.
Well, Phoenix, what about Alina? Where's Alina though?
Oh no, Alina's gone.
Where's the psycho crazy bitch? What if she doesn't have good things for her life?
No, we can't get into it without actually getting into the plot. It's too complicated. But
yeah, we might have to do like a mini podcast where we just talk about like the volume 1 of the story of Magia Record and how it all shook out and our feelings on it. I think that'd be a good mini-sode. Yeah,
and like also like where it branches from the anime, because I don't know what the fuck's going to happen in the anime at this point.
Yeah, who freaking knows? Why is Kuroe there? Who is she?
Kaede, what's she doing? What's going on? Who cares?
That's a discussion for another time. Let's just think about the good anime. It's a good anime. Yeah, we got to talk about Rebellion. I got to start reading some of the manga and talk about that. And there's other stuff to do. But it was really fun talking about Madoka with you.
It was. I hope you've all enjoyed listening to us natter on about it and it being a very good show.
Like it.
We're going to hit some more obscure stuff next, so don't worry. We're not going to just start talking about every big anime. Episode by episode breakdown of Cowboy Bebop. You've never heard that before.
No, yeah. I want to watch more like, and if anyone has suggestions, I'd love to get more into like 90s OVAs or just like weird short anime movies and stuff like that. Just like weird ass, like, oh, I remember this. It sure was fucking weird.
Yeah. In particular, we're looking at diving into the work of the writer and director of Lane. They're 2 separate people. But like some of the other stuff they've done seems really wild and interesting, including a brief magical girl show from the 90s.
That's right.
Or magical boy and girl show, which sounds very interesting, which you want to look at.
Yeah.
So yeah. You want to get back to these more obscure things. Vivid Red's coming up.
Yes.
As well. And probably Wave of Velvet on a Train.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, next is Rebellion, and then we'll split up the manga and read those and tell you what the fuck's going on there.
Yeah, let's talk about all the anime.
Yay.
Wait, we also got to do Villainous.
Oh yeah, Villainous. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
No, so many important
salty?
things to do. Yeah, I'm still salty. My salt floweth endlessly.
Too much anime to talk about. I mean, there's the next season's coming up as well, which we're going to have to. It's going to be a thin season just because of the Roni, but there'll still be a few things to look at there.
Yeah. No, yeah. The Shaft is working on another show about weird thigh gap girls and their magical transforming weapons, and I am here for it.
Also, if you haven't, I mean, I assume you have if you're listening to this, but if you haven't caught up on Sleepless Domain, now's a good time, I would say. It's hit the end of a chapter. Some things have happened this chapter. It's been a many thing happen chapter.
If you've ever heard me talk about like, oh, I hate when things do this and they don't do this, and then this chapter is me doing the thing. There's a vague ass thing for you. All right, good job, team.
Yeah, that's the end of Madoka. That's the end of good Madoka, at least.
Well, Rebellion has some good things, at least.
It has good things in it. It's not good.
We'll see. No, yeah, I feel the same way. Okay. But we'll talk about that later. We've already talked about it so much.
Yeah, I know. God, so much Madoka. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.